So the game developers have given us quite a bit of footage to piece things together about the Debdeb system. We can, for example, get a sense of the size of the Debdeb system and, with some luck, maybe determine the type of star Debdeb will be. In the Interstellar Travel developer video, it showed us a map view of the Debdeb system. It has also been mentioned that Debdeb is a young star system, which explains these very clearly visible disks of debris around the star. I'm going to grab a non-distorted version of the map made by Astronomer KSP right here, so link down below. And in that map view we can also see a handful of planets, indicated by these circles. I've seen people say different things about the planets that can be found in the Debdeb system, but the ones that are pretty much certain are Gerdama and Char. And depending on the source it says that Oven or Glumo or both are also located in the system. But I couldn't find a reliable source on this, so if you know more, please post it down below. I will pin your comment. Anyways, I wanted to get a sense of the size of this system. So I measured the size of the star in the image and used it as a way to measure the distances to any other object in this system. Char is at a distance of around 6.4 Debdeb radii, or DDR. This inner disk starts at 7.4 DDR and stops at about 19 DDR. Then we find a body right after the belt at around 20 DDR. And Gerdama is at 31 DDR, and a planet much farther out can be found at 287 DDR. Now the question is, what is the radius of Debdeb? If we know that, then we really know the size of the system. A little warning, the following bit has a lot of guesstimating and is not at all scientific, so take it with a big grain of salt. So there is a relation between the size of a main sequence star and its color, which is related to its temperature. Debdeb is probably a so-called main sequence star, a star going about its normal business, as it is not a white dwarf or a red giant, because those are reserved for older star systems generally. I looked at some data of some main sequence stars and plotted for a bunch of them both their radius and their temperature, and what we get is this. For cooler stars they all have a smaller radius, but after a point it increases quite a bit in size as we look at hotter stars. I also put Kerbal in this plot as a reference. The temperature of Kerbal here is not an official value, but what it should be based on some laws of physics and if you do some math. I find that Kerbal is slightly off and doesn't really fit nicely in this band of stars here, but as long as Kerbal is our only in-game data point, we have to assume that this is more of an exception. The moment we have more stars in the game officially, we can actually get a better sense of how stars work in-game. Again, assuming that Kerbal is a weird exception, we can try to get a sense of the size of Debdeb, if we know where it is on this plot. So I looked at some images of Debdeb to get a sense of what the color is and maybe get a ballpark value of its temperature. The first image I have is from the surface of Gerdama and it looks like that Debdeb is a bit on the reddish orange side. There's also another clip with very clearly a red star in the background. The question is this also from the perspective of Gerdama, but with the atmosphere turned off or something? If you look at the footage you will see some darker patches in the distance, which is also something Gerdama has. So assuming that this is indeed Debdeb, that will point to it being a red dwarf star, which is quite a bit colder than Kerbal, which is also being claimed by the wiki pages, but I don't see their sources. Again, if anyone has some good sources, post them down below. Comparing Kerbal and Debdeb with each other makes me believe that Debdeb is quite a bit colder. Now this is nothing more than my personal vague intuition, but my prediction is that Debdeb will be sitting somewhere in this region on this plot. So my prediction will be that Debdeb will have a radius a tenth of our Sun and a bit more than a quarter of that of Kerbal. I have to repeat that this is just wild speculation and a lot of assumptions, but I just want to make a prediction and see what happens. Knowing that Kerbal has some weird things going on, it is difficult to say how stars really behave in KSP, so this is all I can do for now. Using this value that we've now found, that puts Gerdama at a distance of around 2 million kilometers from Debdeb. This might seem very close, but remember that Debdeb seems to be quite a bit colder, so this gives us a possibility of liquid water. I want to mention and thank Astronomer KSP again for the map, and I also want to point out that they have a video speculating on some of the other celestial bodies that we might find in the Debdeb system, including some new ones that seem to be called the Gob and or Axod, Acod, I don't know. I will make a video on the Debdeb system when the system is out. In the meantime, watch some of my other videos and bye bye.